March 2019, the people of Pasir Gudang will never forget the Kim Kim River pollution incident, which was the largest scale chemical pollution ever happened in Malaysia that has affected over 6,000 people, with 111 schools shut down temporarily and 2,775 people being hospitalized. The incident had caught the attention of the Johor Crown Prince Tunku Ismail Sultan Ibrahim, where His Highness accused a former Menteri Besar of disloyalty allegedly for not consulting the Sultan prior to allowing factories into Pasir Gudang that is now contaminated by illegally dumped chemicals. Such incident ended with 6.5 ringgit Malaysia spent on cleanup activities, and 3 people were arrested and charged for illegal waste handling. Nevertheless, few of the key factors that drove the toxic pollution were the inefficient monitoring and slackened legislative measure that gave the industrialists such opportunities. So now, let's talk a little bit about Pasir Gudang. Pasir Gudang was developed into an industrial region under the Malaysia Second Plan, or known as Rancangan Malaysia Kedua, which has welcomed the establishment of factories and plants. Back then, Pasir Gudang wasn't a residential area until the rapid economic development and population growth. Pasir Gudang welcomes the resident. Nevertheless, the development was unsystematic and not well planned, making the ecology between human and heavy industry not harmony.
The industrial activity in Pasir Gudang that wasn't properly managed had caused environmental and health issues to the locals. Although the state government had proposed to relocate the factories as somewhere else far away from Pasir Gudang, the proposal itself received criticism from residents. According to their opinion, relocating the factories will not solve the root of the problem. Instead, it will cause economic collapse. This is because over years of development, industrial activity has become the core economy of Pasir Gudang, and relocating the factories will cause the locals either to lose their job or move out from the area. Such over-dependence of economic source on industrial activity leaves the problem of Pasir Gudang pollution unsolved.
Now I'm going to discuss about the potential impacts of Kim Kim River incident, which is caused by unregulatory chemical disposal into the river. So the potential hazardous chemical caused by the Kim Kim River pollution. The victims were subjected to a variety of dangerous chemicals in this episode: dizziness, shortness of breath, eye irritation, chest pain, sore throat, coughing, fever, and vomiting were among the symptoms recorded in the cases. Shortness of breath were more prevalent. So in March 2019, 15 different chemicals were discovered in air sample taken from areas near the contaminated Sungai Kim Kim. So benzene, agrolene, acrylonitrile, hydrogen chloride, methane, toluene, xylene, ethylbenzene, and D-limonene were detected. These are the 9 volatile organic chemicals found in the air samples. So agrolene and acrylonitrile are the 2 most dangerous chemicals found in the Sungai Kim Kim incident. So next is about the effects of hazardous chemicals, which is agrolene, acrylonitrile. So agrolene reacts with a hydroxyl radical and ozone, producing carbon monoxide and formaldehyde. So the high level of this carbon monoxide and formaldehyde exposed is more toxic and may have negative health impacts. And moving on to acrylonitrile react with the hydroxyl radical, produce formaldehyde. To a lesser extent, this formalcyanate combined with water to produce hydrogen cyanate, which is also not good for the health at low concentration. There is a possible correlation between chemicals and potential increase in risk of cancer. So acrylonitrile gas was carcinogenic and could cause cancer if inhaled on a regular basis or an extended period of time. So this is supported by the researchers' article published in an agency for toxic substance and disease registry.
There are 9 major hazardous substances that detected from water samples taken at the Sungai Kim Kim, which are benzene, acrolein, acrylonitrile, methane, hydrogen chloride, toluene, xylene, ethylbenzene, and D-limonene. As for the chemical effects, first, benzene. Direct exposure towards benzene can cause narcosis, aplastic anemia, and loss of consciousness. Second, minimal inhalation and direct exposure towards acrolein can cause irritation towards upper respiratory tract, eyes, and skin. Third, acrylonitrile can be categorized as carcinogen agent with direct exposure can cause asphyxia, nausea, dizziness, and limb weakening. Prolonged exposure at high concentration of methane, resulting in displacing of oxygen in the air, can cause difficulties in breathing and rapid heart rate. Next, prolonged exposure at high concentration of hydrogen chloride can cause throat swelling and spasm as well as suffocation. 6. Low to moderate exposure of toluene can cause memory loss, confusion, fatigue, and loss of appetite. Acute exposure of xylene can cause irritation in the eyes, skin, and respiratory tract. In addition, xylene poisoning can cause headache, dizziness, and drowsiness in the central nervous system. Short-term to high levels of ethylbenzene can irritate the eyes and throat. Last but not least, exposure to a high level of limonene can cause irritation towards respiratory tract.
Based on what my friends discussed earlier, there are a number of mitigation steps that we can consider to address the pollution of Kim Kim River. Firstly, the task force must implement the concept of whole government in its format, function, and strategy. What is meant by whole government? Whole government is mean involving having a task force include representative in information gathering, agencies combating abuse of power, and corruption in managing environmental security threat. This is because the main cause of this issue due to neglecting of environmental laws by certain industries. Therefore, as the following mitigation point that is mentioned, which is enforce the rule of law. This is due to the poor decision making and approving and licensing industrial operations with the environmental assets. The prevention and eradication of environmental threats in Malaysia must involve strategies to determine the effectiveness of existing laws, ensure the integrity of planning license, and enforcement agencies like SOPs handled by task force.
So hello doctor, my name is Ravi and today I'll be explaining about the long-term actions that should be taken to prevent chemical pollution from happening in Malaysia. First of all, we have integrated chemical governance. Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovations are recommended to implement certain proposals such as the integration of chemical information management with the environment, health and safety EHS notification and registration system. Second is to establish a commission or a statutory body such as Chemical Management Commission to govern the chemical management in Malaysia. So the second point here is the Integrated Water Resources Management, IWRM. The process was suggested by the task force to manage the waterways in Pasir Gudang. Since all the sectors such as industries, agriculture and domestics shares common water bodies as their sources of water, such as lakes, rivers and also reservoirs, it is suggested to approach IWRM at a macro level but implement them in a micro level, so there will be a seamless integration between the drainage system and the river that will be flowing into the ocean. So that's all from us today for the mitigation steps divided into the immediate actions and the long-term actions. Thank you.